Hi there everyone and welcome back to the channel. Once again, you find us here in the Performance Centre at Howley Hall Golf Club. Today I have the very limited edition Callaway Paradym Ai Smoke mini driver to take a look at. I'm going to hit some shots both in here and get out on the golf course and really put this to the test. Luckily, my current driver as well is the triple diamond in the Ai Smoke, so I'm going to put them kind of head to head out there. Obviously, this is aimed at that player who maybe wants something that goes slightly less in terms of distance, but obviously with the shorter shaft length that this gives us, it's a little bit more dependable off the tee as well. We've seen mini drivers in the past as well. This is no new thing. TaylorMade have obviously had them out over the years. Callaway had them in the past as well. So I remember Mickelson using one quite a lot. I think it was the X Hot one maybe a while ago. So these are not new to the market, but some of the technology that is currently being used in the Ai Smoke drivers is now being used in the 430cc head that we see here in the mini driver. So this has got the titanium face, it's got the AI smart face as well, which Callaway are obviously renowned for. All that artificial intelligence going into the design, manufacture and technology of this head to make it perform as well as it possibly can for you. This is available in both 11.5 or 13.5. The one I've got today is 13.5 degrees. Obviously, there's adjustability in there as well, so it can go up 2 degrees, down 1 degree as well. So you've got 4 degrees really of playability in both of these heads. We've got movable weights in there as well, with a 12 and a 4 gram movable weight in there. So that will alter the spin characteristics a little bit. It obviously comes slightly shorter in shaft length, so it's about 1.5 inches shorter than a standard driver would be. I've got a shaft in here at the minute that's actually even shorter than that. It's more like a 3-wood kind of length shaft as well that I'm going to try today, which is hazardous black in extra stiff, 6.5. But the one that came in at a standard was the Denali Blue, which again, loads of you will absolutely love. 60 grams in there as well. Like I say, the smart face technology is the thing that this driver is kind of known for. And we should see some absolutely fantastic results when hitting it in here too. Now, I've actually lofted this up a little bit. I've got it at 14.5 degrees, so it's more like that 3-wood kind of loft that we've got in here. We may have a bit of a play about with that as we start hitting it and kind of dial it in for the sort of distance I want. I've always struggled to find a fairway wood that I really like. I don't tend to hit fairway woods off the ground very often. It's always a kind of option that I have off the tee. So maybe this might find its way into my golf bag. It might be a club that can help me out on the golf course, maybe hit some more fairways and kind of get that distance I'm looking for. So I want this club to go around that kind of 270, 275 sort of mark really off the tee. And that will fit quite nicely with the rest of the clubs that I have in my set. What I find sometimes with fairway woods is I can't quite get that amount of distance that I want, or I get one that goes absolutely miles and I don't really get the flight that I want out of it. So I'm hoping that this is gonna give me a little bit of that as well. Like I say, these are very limited release. You're not gonna see these everywhere. Some accounts in the UK have maybe got 2 of these. Other areas, you probably won't see one in any accounts anywhere. So they are, very sought after, and I'm sure they'll sell out very quickly too. In terms of their looks, I would say when you look down on the driver there, it looks very much like the kind of Max and the Max D models, where we see the chevron on the top there and that kind of carbon and contrast between the leading edge and the face there. But then when you look at the bottom of it, it's like the triple diamond, where we've got the 2 weights that we can move around. So it's kind of a bit of a hybrid between the 2 designs that are available from Callaway. But without further ado, let's go hit some shots with it and I'll tell you exactly what I think. So I'm actually going to hit some shots now with kind of the entire Ai Smoke family really. So I've got the Max 3-wood here, I've obviously got the mini driver, and I've also got my driver, which is the triple diamond. So I'm going to hit some shots with all of them, because I guess the question that we always ask ourselves when we're talking about mini drivers is how do they fit into a set of golf clubs? Do they replace a 3-wood? Are they instead of a driver? Do they fit a little bit in between? And we'll also talk a little bit about some of those things that kind of some of the manufacturers claim like you can hit this off the ground. How easy is it actually to hit this mini driver off the deck? We're going to do that as well. We're going to go out on the golf course and hit some too, but we'll start off in here, hit some shots. I'll tell you kind of what I think when I'm doing it. We'll get some data, then we'll go out on the golf course, we'll come back, have a bit of a chat about everything and kind of wrap it all up. But yeah, I'm going to start by hitting some with the 3-wood. And then I'm going to move on to mini driver and then move on to my driver. We'll get some data and tell you exactly what I'm thinking along the way. So now we've hit the 3-wood, let's move on to the mini driver, okay? Now the first thing that you're probably thinking about when you get one of these, or if you've ever hit one of these, is how high do I tee it? Well, I probably wouldn't tee it as high as a driver, but I'd obviously tee it higher than the 3-wood. You've just seen a few shots I've hit with that where the tee was very, very small, just above the ground level really, because obviously the face is quite shallow on the 3-wood. This has obviously got that bit more depth. So I've just got a white castle tee here, so I guess it's kind of an inch and a half off the ground really, and we'll see how that goes really. Like I said, it's a bit of an unknown for me too, so let's hit some shots and see exactly what it feels like. I mean, I must say, behind the ball, I think it looks great. It kind of harps back to some of the drivers that I'd have used kind of growing up, that little bit smaller head size really. So let's see how it goes. I mean, it sounds and feels fantastic off the face. Much higher flight than I was expecting, to be honest, but that felt really, really good. Yeah, a little bit at the bottom of the club, but yeah, it's kind of spun up a little bit on me. Feels awesome off the face. I don't know if you can get that with the sound of it is very, very impressive. Sort of the acoustics of the mini driver when you hit it. It's very, very different to both the 3-wood and the driver. Slightly more higher pitched, a bit more metallic kind of sounding. I can also see that compared to the 3-wood, even though there's a very, very subtle difference in the shaft length, let me just grab the 3-wood and I'll show you. So looking at them both sort of side by side, there's 1 inch or so kind of, if we stand them both there, there's probably an inch, maybe an inch and a half max in the length difference, but the club head speed difference is quite, I wasn't expecting it to be that much quicker, to be honest. So, right, let's try a few more. But so far, so good. Again, I've just bottomed it a little bit. Better one. I mean, the height is very, very impressive. Maybe I might play around with the loft on this a little bit and maybe move the weighting around, see if I can just tune it in slightly better, because I would say it's probably spinning a bit more than I want it to. We'll go through these numbers in a minute, but the distance is kind of bang on. It's like that 270 mark. I'm hitting it pretty much every shot, but very, very high flight, which is not necessarily what I would kind of be used to. But like I said, the fact that this is adjustable, it's obviously very helpful. So I'm just going to tweak it a little bit and see if I can just kind of get it performing a little bit more like I want it to when looking at the numbers here. So I'll leave these shots in so that we can have a bit of a chat about what it's doing in kind of the neutral position, if you like, and then I'm going to tweak it around a little bit and see exactly how I can change it. So now I've had a bit of a chance to play around with the driver. So what I've done is knocked a degree of loft off. So this is now 12.5 degrees. And I've also flipped the weights around. So I've put the heavier one at the front, lighter one at the back. So what that should do is just knock a little bit of spin off. So we're just going to hit a few more with it and see exactly what it feels like and how it changes the ball flight that I'm hitting. Quite amazing really. I mean, I know I've only hit one shot, but the spin has dropped by about 500 RPM and all of a sudden it's a little bit easier for me to turn over. I don't know whether that's moving, taking some of the weight out the back, which obviously the further back the weight is in the head, the more kind of hard it should be for me to manipulate it, which for some players is amazing. You know, I always, whenever the weight's really far back in the driver, I always struggle to kind of hit my draw, which I'd normally hit. I kind of hit a bit of a weak one, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I've hit one shot, but certainly it feels a little bit different off the face. The height's come down a bit, the ball speed's gone up, and the spin has come down. So let's hit a couple more. Really does feel very different. It's maybe a little bit straighter to maybe just moving a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty much dead straight. So yeah, I've literally just changed by 1 degree and flipped the weights over, and I'm getting completely different results now. So it'll be interesting when we see that at the end of this test. So let's now hit some with my driver. A reminder, it's Paradym Ai Smoke triple diamond. So this is 10.5, just set standard 10.5 really. Let's have a few hits with it and see exactly how it performs against the mini and also the 3-wood. I thought we'd come out here on the practice ground and hit some shots with them all. So you can see we've got a pretty long, decent practice ground here at Howley, down the side of the 5th hole here. So I'm just going to hit some 3-woods, then mini drivers, then drivers, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference in the ball flight when we put some of the traces on there. And I'll kind of just describe what I'm feeling, seeing, and kind of hitting as I do it. I've obviously got the 3-wood first off this quite short little tee, so let's give it a hit and see if what we see out here is the kind of ball flight we're seeing inside, which was slightly lower than what we were getting with the mini driver, and distance wise it was pretty good as well. So let's give it a hit. Yeah, certainly first one, nice little draw, just finishing down the left sort of half of the practice ground really, but again really felt good off the face. You know, nice little shape that I'd normally expect to see out there on the golf course, and kind of exactly what we were seeing on the Trackman inside really. Yeah, same again, much more penetrating flight, basically the same shot. It's landed probably about 8 feet from the first one. So yeah, pretty good, nice little tight draw. You can see that on the tracer, a bit more penetrating ball flight. Right, when we move then on to mini driver, how is that going to change? So let's see how this compares. So obviously inside we were seeing a little bit higher flight before I adjusted it, it has to be said. So once I knocked the loft down, so this is now at 12.5, and I've obviously put that heavier weight in the front of the driver, or mini driver, we should see maybe the flight change a little bit, and certainly that's what we were seeing inside. So let's hit a couple with it now. Yeah, certainly higher than the 3-wood, but quite considerably further. That was a little bit more down the right hand side, just got it a little bit out the heel, that one. So it's kind of just spun a bit. I think it might have just caught the right edge of a fairway, but yeah, it certainly wasn't the same as the 3-wood. Definitely a higher flight. That one, yeah, just drawing back in at the end there. Starting a bit further right, just with a little draw, but absolutely love the sound of it. It's great. Let's see if we can get this one towards where those 3-woods were, so we can give a good comparison of the distance. Yep, that's straight at them. Definitely higher flight. Yeah, so that's probably pitched a good 10 yards past where those 3-woods were, and the 3-woods were good strikes as well. Honestly, probably about 25 feet higher, 30 feet higher maybe. That one, again, just down the left hand side, pretty much just stayed there. Interesting thing will be when we try and hit a few off the deck in a minute and see what that's like. But just nice little tight draw down the left hand side there, and again just probably that 5-10 yards past where we've hit the 3-woods, but certainly feels really good, feels forgiving when we don't hit the middle of the face. Those first couple there just came out the heel ever so slightly, but certainly the flight I'm getting with it was pretty good. Right, so we know that obviously a fairway wood, as the name would suggest, is easy to hit off the ground. What is this going to be like if we're trying to hit it off the range here? So let's hit a few, might top a few, you never know, but this is supposed to be a club that we're able to hit off the ground, so let's see how it goes. What did I say? It was a definitely lower flight. Is it a club I'd be wanting to hit off the floor? Absolutely not. Now, even on, this is a good lie as well, yeah? Let's see how this one goes. Yeah, I mean, you're just losing all consistency there, trying to hit it off the ground, in my opinion. And I would say generally I'm a fairly good striker of a fairway wood off the ground. And this, I just feel like I'm going to top it all the time. The head just feels too big and the face too deep to really get to the bottom of the ball properly. And that's as good as I'm going to hit it, and it still felt a little bit thinny and down the right hand side and considerably shorter than I was hitting it when it was on the tee. So when we go back to using the fairway wood, I'd imagine we're going to find now that this is going to be easier to get in the air. Obviously it's what it's designed to do, so let's see how we hit this. Straight away it's just easier to pick it off the ground. Obviously that shallower face and sort of the lower sort of CG and the weight in there is obviously contributing to that as well. Yeah, I mean that's just a nice high draw down the right hand side. probably gone further than the ones I'd hit off the tee actually as well. So I guess that's the whole question with these, isn't it? Is it a club that you're going to use just off the tee, or do you hit lots of fairway woods off the ground? And I would say that if we were going to hit lots of fairway woods and having to hit it off the fairway a lot of the time, then maybe the mini driver's not the club for you. So much easier to get in the air and so much easier to fly. So yeah, I guess that's the question you've got to ask yourself. I mean, personally, I don't hit many fairway woods off the ground, so could this be the golf club I'm looking for in my bag? Potentially, absolutely. So I would say from hitting it out here, we can see that it does launch higher. There's that kind of more flight that I'm getting with the mini driver off the tee, which I really like actually. It's more driver-like kind of flight, and certainly getting higher than the fairway wood is. Am I hitting it any straighter than the fairway wood? I mean, the fairway woods I've hit are fairly consistent really, but not quite as far as this. So I would say if it's that club that you want that's just behind driver, maybe 20 yards behind driver, but obviously a much bigger and more forgiving head, then I would put lots of ticks in the boxes of the mini driver. If you want something that's more versatile that you can hit off the tee and off the ground, obviously fairway wood's going to win out there. So you've got to kind of make that decision when thinking about what club is going to find its way into your golf bag. But for me, I don't hit many fairway woods off the ground, so maybe the mini driver might be better, who knows. But let's get inside and have a look at the numbers. So let's take a little bit of a look at the Trackman figures here. So if we take a look at the 3-wood for starters, I hit that pretty good, to be honest. 275 total as an average, which is pretty good. It's kind of what I would want out of a 3-wood really. 254 carry, spin at 3,200, which is okay. When I tried the mini driver to start with in that kind of standard setting, we can see it goes quite high and spins quite a lot. Yeah, so we can see in terms of the sort of height that I'm getting on it, it was 122 feet versus 91 feet with the 3-wood, so considerably higher really. In terms of the ball speed though, it was faster as you'd maybe expect. Club head speed was a little bit quicker, which can only be because of the shaft length being that little bit longer, I think. But you can see the reason the distance wasn't as good is because of the spin. When we then fitted it properly, you can see that those numbers drop a bit. So we've taken about 600 RPM off the spin, and all of a sudden we get up to 287 as a total distance, with very, very similar club head speed, as you can see there as well. Ball speed just creeping up that little bit higher at 166 miles an hour really. And then when we look at the driver in comparison, we can see obviously the spin much lower, club head speed higher because of shaft length, ball speed that little bit faster as well, and obviously the overall distance at 315. So that's kind of what I would expect out of a driver. So it shows that you can set this mini driver in a couple of different ways. So if you want it to be that higher flighted, kind of more forgiving club than a 3-wood, but get similar distance, we can do that. Or if you want to really strengthen the flight of it, the loft of it, and kind of weight it a little bit differently, we can see that it'll act a little bit more like a driver as well. Certainly from hitting those shots outside, as you saw, personally, I don't think it's a club that you can really hit off the ground with any particular degree of success. So if you're looking at it as a like-for-like replacement as a fairway wood, I don't think it's going to do that for you. But it is a really good option if you're only ever going to hit it off the tee. Certainly that larger head size gives you a bit more confidence than a 3-wood will. But if you are going to hit shots off the floor, then I think your kind of traditional fairway wood is probably the way forward. But let us know what you think. This is obviously going up against some of the tailor-made mini drivers that have been out for the last couple of years, which are massively popular. This is going to be so limited that there's not going to be many of these clubs about at all. So not many of you will actually be able to get your hands on them, which is a shame. But I think it's kind of Callaway's way of dipping their toe in the water again into mini drivers and maybe producing some more in the future. So perhaps this Paradym Ai Smoke mini driver is the first of many to come, who knows, but certainly performance-wise, I thought it was very, very good. Hopefully you've enjoyed that review. I've loved testing it, always love to hit new products, and particularly when they're Callaway, absolutely love their stuff. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Please keep watching our content to help me play more, play better, and we'll see you all very soon.